guys, welcome back to Let's Play Star Ocean 2. Last time, we did a bunch of item creation and set up the next quest, which, if you remember, is supposed to be in a dungeon of some sorts, very near to the town of Linga. And this is it. This is the Sanctuary of Linga, or however you pronounce that. This is the herb that he told us to find, right at the entrance. Awesome. Pick this one up, and we're... Did we see that one before? Now we can go meet Keith. Well, yeah, let's go. Keith is the name of the professor, by the way. They haven't really mentioned that yet. The thing that's really funny about this is if you're taking a Raina path, Claude will be the one that says, I think I've seen that at the store at Arlia, where Raina is from. It's just really, really dumb. But yeah, you can pick up a bunch of false herbs all over the place. And that being the case, I'm going to actually go and take a straight path all the way through, go to the end, grab the ultimate herb, because there's two different options here that you can get. One of them is the Dill Whip, and the other one is Claris, something starts with C-L-A-R or something like that. I don't know. And the one Bowman's actually found before, and the C-L-A whatever. And the Dill Whip is something entirely new. Both are acceptable, and if you just randomly pick up all the herbs around here, you'll eventually get it. And it doesn't really matter other than changing the dialogue slightly. So I'm going to go for the ultimate one because it really doesn't matter. And in order to make that simple, because it's hard for me to know which one I'm supposed to get, and if you get one of them, you won't be able to get the other. So I'm going to go straight shot right to the end to get the rarest one, and then we'll fight the boss, and then we'll backtrack out of here collecting treasure on our way out. Also, because we did all of the item creation last time, in between episodes, I did a little more. I got another white system, even though I didn't need it. And so we have this one here, ups the chances of alchemy. We have this one here. All of these are made through machinery, by the way. Antiseptic gloves for compounding, soldering iron for a bunch of stuff. It works, I think, for metalwork and smithing and some other stuff I can't remember off the top of my head, but that one's probably one of the more important ones. The survival kit we saw, that one increases our ability to use survival. This is a better camera than the magical camera we were already able to buy, so we'll want to use that one. Tech software increases our ability of writing. The magical hand, we already know what that does, or the magician's hand. It's another bandit's hand kind of item, or bandit's glove, or whatever it was. And this one improves identification. Now, there's one more that I could have picked up, and I think there's also one more floating around up here somewhere. Where is it? There it is, graphical software. This one improves your ability of doing art. The one that I don't have right now is the musical software, but I'll be able to find one in an upcoming dungeon, so I'm not particularly worried about it, and we're not going to be doing any more item creation as far as music goes. Also, as you can see, I have worked through a lot of the points that I had. Now, just for kind of simplicity's sake, I did this all off stream because it would have taken forever. But anytime I got a stat bonus, say from musical instrument or musical notation, I just put as many points as I could until it didn't cost one anymore, and then I stopped. Unless I screwed up, which I think I did once with Claude or something like that. And I also upped tool knowledge, herbal medicine, and what else? There's some other ones. Good Eye, that doesn't up a stat, but it increases the amount of HP restoration you get from, I think, spells and items in battle. It might just be spells. Either way, it's worthwhile putting some points into that. But let's kind of go through all of them just to kind of see real quick. We had sketching set just for discovering talents. Mineralogy gives you intelligence, and it costs only 1 point all the way up till this level. Aesthetic sense, I put 1 point into that, or 2 points into that, just because. Crafting ups your agility as well, so I put points there. Dexterity. I'm avoiding this for now, but eventually I will be putting this some points into this as well. Basically, what this does is it increases your levels by lowering your abilities in battle slightly, and it's really not a big downfall to use it, and if you're just doing this yourself, you probably want to put points into effort way sooner than I have. But I personally want to keep my levels a little bit lower just because I want to give a little more challenge to the game as I go through it. Patience gives you some conscience or whatever that is. That's your defense. And let's see. So danger sense, stamina, mental science gives you MP. Biology gives you a little bit of HP. Kitchen knife gives you strength. Good eye, as we've already talked about. One thing I would recommend holding off on putting a lot of points to with everyone is animal training, whistling, and all the musical instruments. Don't go above like level 4 or something like that with anyone except for like the one person that you want to have them at the max level so they can do stuff. There's a specific reason that we won't really find out until post game, but it's worthwhile putting, just at least mentioning it for now. And for the most part, you're not going to get a whole lot of them. It's really expensive to up musical instruments and notation. Whistling and animal training are pretty cheap, but just make sure you keep at least one person down at level 1. I will go into why later on. Metal casting gives us dexterity. Scientific ability gives us strength. Radar, I think, gives us random gems, but I don't really care for that. Playfulness gives us money. We already know about that. Phariology, even at level 1, costs 20, but I think it only increases by like 1 point as it goes up in price or something like that. It doesn't go up by very much per level. So do not put points into piety. I've already mentioned why. Basically, each point gives you a random percentage to one stat, so the higher our base stats are, the more we're going to get out of it. You don't want to do that until basically the end of the game. Functionality, just put the 1 point in. We get lots of stats out of that one. It's a really good skill to put points into. It's also really expensive past the first couple of levels. Courage, you don't need to put anything into. Copying, not for now. I do have somebody in mind who will be doing copying. Poker Face gives us guts, and I think I've already talked about what guts do, but basically the more guts we have, the more certain things like all our combat skills have a chance of occurring. The higher our gut stat, the higher those chances of them to occur. So in this case, the ability improves your aim with a certain probability is based off of the amount of guts you have. So I put a bunch of points into here as well on everyone. Basically, anytime I could put only 1 point in, I did. Same as before. I think with Fate, I used 2 points on the second level. Doesn't really matter. Let's see. So that's increases your aim. This increases your defense. We've gone over a bunch of this stuff. When we haven't seen this one before, it allows you to provoke an enemy using the select skill. That may be useful in like maybe one battle that I haven't tried it on yet, but I think it might be useful in that fight, so we'll see if that works, if I remember by then. Below the belt's a good one, and it allows you to ignore defense, but it costs way too much right now, so we'll hold off on that. Counterattack, we already went over what most of these ones all do on Claude's Path when we set them up with skills for the tournament, but increases combat speed, increases the ability to parry an attack, that one's important. Prevents fainting, very important. Mental training, increases attack power, also quite important. Counterattack, I'm not even sure when this one works, but it seems like it would be a good ability. And strong blow, I'll put a few more points in there, sure. Now I'm not going to go through it on everyone, I'm just going to note the few changes that I made on anyone else's path. Opera didn't have any extra points, so she just went straight for the normal stuff, and then of course I upped her mech ability on screen in the last episode. Okay, so Claude, what I did with him is I maxed out Mineralogy, Craft, and put as many points into Aesthetic Sense as possible in order to get his Metalwork skill up as high as I could, because I will be creating some stuff with Metalwork before too long, and he's a good choice to do it. Other than that, he's pretty much the same as everybody else. Reina, I maxed out her musical ability, music and instrumentation and notation. She's going to be the one I'll max it out with. Other than that, pretty much all of her stuff is pretty well standard. When it gets down to the combat skills on the mages, as you can see, I have chosen a different path because we don't really need all of the ones to improve your aim and stuff like that. So we got body control, parry, gale, and the 1 point into Spirit Force, and that's pretty much it. Same with Celine there, except for with her, we upped Mineralogy, and what was the other one? There's two other ones, Fairyology and Scientific Ability, to get her a high level at Alchemy, which I was able to max out. And that will be useful later on as well. And she doesn't have anything else. Now, the one thing you may want to do, one that I've been skipping out for now, is the ability Motormouth on your mages. It reduces time it takes to cast spells with a certain probability. Unfortunately, this doesn't work every single time, but it works a decent percentage of the time if you get the skill leveled up enough. It's just really expensive at this point in the game. So I'm going to leave it alone for now, but that's pretty much what I've done there. So I've specialized my item creation for the few characters that I have at this point, and I'll have a couple other characters set up to do things in a bit as well. Now, one thing... Stupid AI! One thing to note about Opera is that her weapon here looks like a big laser cannon. And her physical attack, for some reason, is walking up to the enemy and smacking them with it instead of shooting. If she gets close enough, she will do a little shot like that you just saw there. But pretty much you'll never use her normal attack. You'll always want to be using her Alpha on 1 ability until she gets something that she wants to use other than that. Also note that I've learned something new for Claude there, which is called Burst Knuckle. It's a little bit better than Head Splitter, attacks more often, faster. So I'm going to put that on him for now. So we learned Light Cross, hits all enemies. Gravity Press hits only some enemies, so I don't care for pretty much either of those. And you're pretty much the same. And yeah, so Healing Star and Alpha on 1. Now, I'm going to go into a strategy for grinding out techs now that we've gotten to this point in the game in a bit. I know I've already shown that off to an extent, but I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the one. So I'm going to skip out on all the treasure for now, and we'll get it when we come back through after getting to the end.
This might be a good fight. Stay focused.
Yeah, so if you're going to control Opera, basically you're just going to spam her Alpha on 1 ability or her Healing Star ability. And as you can see, she does a good amount of damage, and she hits 3 times with each of those, and they home. So Alpha on 1 is a really useful move to have at this point in the game. Allows her to attack from a distance, do lots of damage, hit multiple times, and stay out of the wave damage. And with that battle, Celine learned her, well, pretty much her only useful ability now that she has it. Thunderstorm, till she gets some other spells later, but Thunderstorm is really useful. We don't need Energy Arrow anymore because Thunderstorm does way more damage and hits all enemies. So we're just going to leave her on that, and hopefully she doesn't cast it too much before, because she'll run out of MP really quickly there. Alright, so I want to take the middle path here, I believe. Yes, middle path.
I will win. Be careful.
And we have some strange little...
Thunderstorm!
Yeah, so there's Thunderstorm. It does an actually acceptable amount of damage. But yeah, the AI is really dumb. If 2 characters are running close to each other, they'll kind of run into each other and they'll start running down a line because they can't get by the other one. It's kind of stupid, but anyway. Ignore down in the left corner there. That's an example of an herb that you'll find on screen. I'm going to ignore all of them for now. We're going to head up here. Okay, Celine's using it too much, so I just turned it off on her. This is the path I'll be coming back to in a moment, but I believe if my information is correct, the one I want to grab...
Here's the enemy.
Have we seen these guys yet? Probably. But basically, yeah, they cast a spell called Black Saber. It's basically the equivalent of Energy Arrow. It does a decent amount of damage. But yeah, you can see how powerful we are now that we have 2 powerful attacking characters, one that goes up close and one that attacks from a distance. The only thing that's going to make us any better is if we get one that... I'm just going to save state here in case this is the wrong one. No, this is wrong. So this is the one I was not trying to get. The one I'm trying to get See, once you do that one, they'll have a little cutscene, and then we can go back. Maybe Bowman will know, but that will make it so we can't get the Dill Whip, the one I actually want to get. So, let's do that one. I thought that was the right one. If it's not that one, then it's probably the one up to the right in the direction I want to go anyway.
I'm coming.
Yeah, but now that we've done this, there will be a number of battles that I'll just be leaving in because they literally don't take any time. And it'll be easier if I don't have to edit out a bunch of battles when I'm trying to go through and edit all the stuff together. So let's head over this way. I want to take the upper path. So this one should be it then. There we go. I knew it was by the skeleton. I just wasn't sure where, which part by the skeleton it was. The one underneath or the one right here. Okay, same dialogue as before. And another battle.
The enemy.
I will turn you into a beehive.
First
A
no.
beehive? I have no idea. And I don't remember ever hearing that opening line before. That was just funny. I have nothing else to add to that. Yeah, don't worry too much about spamming all of your stuff there. There's a twin edge if you're interested in that. And we want to head up here and we'll find a save point, run into one more battle, and I'll heal up off screen. Fight this battle eventually. Alright, so we healed up and a saved, and now we can head this way. And instead of getting treasure chests, we're going to get something else, of course, because they said something about the door to the netherworld. That doesn't sound like a particularly safe place to be. What in the world are we fighting? These enemies can be really annoying later on in the game when you fight subsequent variations of them. But yeah, they can use poison. The one downside to Opera's Alpha on 1 tech that we're using here, do note that I'm now controlling Reyna because this one absorbed one of those other two fighters there, which is kind of annoying. I don't know if I can hit them to make them release them or how that works. Stop that. Yeah, they will absorb your party members. It's more of a pain later in the game than it is now, because I'm not particularly worried about it now. But here's an example of light cross, if you're wondering what that looks like. And there we go. That's what happens if you get too close to the enemy. As I was saying, though, the one downside to Alpha on 1 is she has to run to a certain point before she can fire. She can't fire from just anywhere on the map, unfortunately. And they drop some Damascus and Orichalcum.
I'm so happy. I did
And we gain some levels, which is nice. Wasn't expecting a sudden attack. Yeah. So those enemies, or that boss, not particularly difficult, but they get more annoying as time goes by. Because when they absorb one of your characters, like say your healer, when you're, 7 levels deep in the super dungeon, bonus dungeon at the end of the game, yeah, that's gonna hurt you a little more than it did in this case. Hundreds of Troll Remasters wouldn't be able to do this. Anyway, let's grab some of the treasure here. Cinderella Glass. Question mark guard. Spring water. Spring water is important because it cures all status effects. The other thing is, let's go into item creation and identify. You'll notice that a lot more options are here because I put all those points in on my skills. So, and also super specialty skills will have been unlocked as well, such as Identify All, which I want to level up as soon as I can. What this one does is it consumes a spectacle and allows you to gain a discount or raise the price of all items in the shop. This includes items sold and bought, so it gives you the incentive to give discount before you go to any shop to buy stuff and raise price before you go to sell any stuff. So it's rather interesting that way. And it's probably the second most useful next to Orchestra. Orchestra you can't do until I think you get 6 different instruments, which we don't have yet. We won't be able to get any more until the next game. Publishing works with writing, and I'll go into that kind of stuff, I think probably more on disc 2, once we get some of our other characters. But, oh, yeah, I want to go back in there, I want to go item creation, and I want to go identify. Now, some of these minerals and stuff like that will have been here for quite a while, but now that I've got Celine high enough level, we should be able to unlock all of these things. There will be a lot of them, unfortunately, because there just were a lot of them to find throughout the game. Some of them, the question mark guard is the reason I came in here, because if I remember correctly, this is quite useful right now. The rune buckler, yes. Best shield we can get for a mage, almost for the rest of the game. These are items that we would have found or created using item creation. They just kind of consume inventory space over time. The game knows internally which ones, like which unidentified item is going to turn into what. So you'll get 4 or 5 of one if they're all the same, or if they're each is a different piece, then it'll give you a different stack of items. Whoa! Yeah, if it fails, it just becomes the same unidentified item. The one unique thing about it, or interesting thing, I guess, is that if you go to identify, say, 4 of them, I have 10 spectacles right now. Fast forward. I only have 9. I only used 1 to identify all of them. Same with this one. This is just from when I was doing my item creation. These are all garbage items. This one might not be. Talisman. We got this one from Celine giving a gift to Claude back in Arlia. I don't know where all of them come from. Rose Hips is just a normal item. Artemis Leaves is just a normal item. And we're almost out of them, so we'll have to buy them when we get back to town. But anyway, that's pretty much all the time we have for today. Next time we will be doing our backtrack out of here and collecting all the treasure. And I'll probably go and collect all the herbs as well, even though they really don't matter, just so that we're complete and that we have all of them shown off. Anyway, that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.